Every trader dreams of financial freedom, the vision of unlimited opportunity, the thrill of the markets, the belief that one good day can change everything. But that same dream becomes a trap for most. They enter the market chasing profits, chasing the next setup, the next candle, the next high. And in that chase, they lose something far more valuable: clarity. Let me tell you something powerful. The market doesn't care how hard you try. It doesn't care how badly you want to win. It responds to one thing only: your ability to remain disciplined under uncertainty. You can have all the indicators, all the signals, all the strategies. But if your focus is scattered between chasing the outcome and avoiding pain, you're not trading, you're reacting. And reaction is emotional, not logical. It's what turns a plan into panic and a good trade into a costly mistake. Every consistent trader eventually learns this truth. Success doesn't come from making 100 trades. It comes from mastering the art of one good trade. Think about that. One trade, one decision, one execution done with clarity, discipline, and detachment. That's all it takes to shift your energy from chaos to control. When you make one good trade, you're not just trading the market, you're training your mind. You're practicing patience, you're reinforcing discipline. You're reminding yourself that the goal is not to win today, but to trade well forever. Most traders fail not because they lack skill, but because they lack focus. They jump from setup to setup, system to system, chasing the illusion of certainty. But certainty doesn't exist in the market. What exists is probability. And your job isn't to control the outcome. Your job is to align yourself with high probability opportunities and execute flawlessly when they appear. That's what one good trade really means. It's a mindset, not a number. It's about showing up every single day, detached from outcome, focused only on process. It's about measuring yourself not by how much you make, but by how well you followed your plan. When you stop chasing profits, your relationship with the market transforms. Suddenly, every loss is feedback, not failure. Every win is validation, not euphoria. You begin to see trading as a craft, not a competition. This shift from chasing to focusing is the foundation of mastery. Because mastery isn't about control, it's about acceptance. Accepting that the market will always be uncertain, that results will fluctuate, but your behavior doesn't have to. You see, the difference between amateurs and professionals is simple. Amateurs need to be right, professionals need to trade well. Amateurs chase money, professionals manage themselves. A professional can lose on a trade and still call it a success if it was executed according to plan. Why? Because they understand that success in trading isn't about being right on any one trade. It's about being consistent across many. When you commit to making one good trade, something profound happens inside you. The anxiety fades, the noise quiets, the constant urge to force results disappears. You begin to trade from a place of calm awareness, not emotional urgency. You stop needing the market to validate you. You stop needing profits to feel worthy. You realize the only thing you truly control is yourself, and that's where real power begins. One good trade, done with intention and integrity, carries more weight than 100 random ones. Because one good trade reinforces the habit of clarity. It teaches your subconscious that patience pays. It anchors you in process, and process creates consistency. Let me put it this way: if you can't make one good trade, you can't make 10. But if you can make one good trade, you can make 1,000. Because you've proven you can follow your rules. You've proven you can stay centered when uncertainty rises. You've proven that discipline is stronger than emotion. That's the secret. Consistency is not a skill, it's a state of mind. And that state begins with one decision: to stop chasing and start aligning. The truth is, trading is not about money, it's about mastery. The profits are just a reflection of your internal state. When you trade from fear, your account mirrors that fear. When you trade from clarity, your account mirrors that clarity. So stop asking, how much can I make? And start asking, how well can I execute? Because when you perfect the process, the profits will follow effortlessly. To every time you open a trade, you're making a psychological statement. Either I'm in control of myself, or I'm controlled by my emotions. The market simply reflects back whichever truth you choose to live by. So here's the challenge. The next time you sit down to trade, forget the money. Forget the outcome. Focus only on making one good trade. One trade where you are calm, clear, and completely detached from the result. Do that, and you'll experience something remarkable. The market will no longer feel like an enemy. It'll become your mirror. And through that mirror, you'll see that the true battle was never with the market. It was always within you. The profits will come. They always do, but only when you stop chasing them. Because the day you stop trading for money is the day you start trading for mastery. And mastery, my friend, pays better than any profit ever will. Most traders enter the market with the same burning desire to win big, to make money fast, to escape the limits of time and effort that define ordinary life. They imagine freedom, abundance, the power to control their destiny. But what they often fail to realize is that the path to mastery is not paved with constant action, but with focused precision. The market doesn't pay for movement. It pays for clarity. And clarity is born from focus, not frequency. You see, the amateur trader equates more trades with more opportunity. They think the more they do, the more they'll earn. But the professional knows the truth. More trades only mean more exposure to randomness, more emotional noise, and more opportunity to self-destruct. Trading isn't a numbers game, it's a mental game. And in that game, every unnecessary trade is another fracture in your discipline. Focus is the foundation of mastery. It's the ability to sit in front of the screen, see the chaos, and remain still. It's the patience to wait for the right trade instead of chasing every flicker of movement. It's the understanding that the market rewards discipline, not desperation. When you're focused, you're aligned. When you're aligned, you execute cleanly. When you execute cleanly, you win, not because the market gives you a gift, but because you're finally in sync with it. Most people can't focus because their minds are conditioned by fear, fear of missing out, fear of loss, fear of being wrong. That fear drives them to overtrade, to force opportunities, to fill the silence with action. But that's not trading, that's reacting. The market doesn't care about your fear. It doesn't even recognize it. The only one who pays for that fear is you. The professional trader operates differently. They've learned that mastery isn't measured by how often they trade, but by how well they trade. They can go hours, days, or even weeks without taking a position and still feel completely at peace. Why? Because they've replaced the need for constant action with the power of focused intention. They know that each trade must have purpose, alignment, and clarity. Focus isn't about doing less for the sake of laziness. It's about doing less for the sake of precision. Every trade is a reflection of your mental state. If you're unfocused, emotional, or impatient, your trades will mirror that energy. You'll find yourself entering too early, exiting too late, or abandoning your rules altogether. But when you're focused, everything changes. You move with calm confidence. You see what others overlook. You wait until the probabilities align, and then you strike, not with hesitation, but with conviction. Mastery demands the discipline to wait. Waiting is the hardest thing in trading because it feels like doing nothing. And to the untrained mind, doing nothing feels like losing control. But the truth is, waiting is control. It's self-control in motion. It's proof that your mind is no longer enslaved by the market's constant noise. When you learn to focus, your perception of time changes. You stop measuring success by the number of trades per day and start measuring it by the quality of your decisions. You begin to realize that one good trade, perfectly executed, can accomplish more than 100 random ones. Focus transforms your relationship with the market because it forces you to master the one thing that matters most, yourself. The market is a mirror of your internal state. If you are scattered, impulsive, or greedy, the market will amplify those qualities and turn them against you. But when you're centered and patient, and the market reflects that back too, you begin to feel in rhythm with it. You stop fighting it and start flowing with it. That's what mastery looks like, effortless execution born from deep mental clarity. Every professional has gone through this evolution. In the beginning, they all chase. They jump into every opportunity. They overanalyze, overreact, and overtrade. But eventually, the pain of inconsistency forces them to evolve. They begin to see that every bad trade had one common denominator: lack of focus. It wasn't the market's fault. It wasn't the setup's fault. It wasn't even the strategy's fault. It was the trader's inability to wait for the right moment. Trading rewards those who can do what others can't, and what most people can't do is wait. Waiting requires emotional strength. It requires the humility to admit that you don't control the market. You only control your response to it. Focused traders understand that their job is not to predict, but to prepare. They wait until the market shows them what they need to see, and then they act without hesitation or fear. That's why mastery is so rare. It demands emotional detachment, patience, and total self-awareness. Focus means saying no to 99% of what you see so you can say yes to the 1% that truly matters. It means ignoring every distraction, every impulse, and every fear that tries to pull you out of alignment. Focus isn't passive. It's active awareness. It's not about sitting still and waiting blindly. It's about being deeply engaged with the market without being controlled by it. You're watching, listening, sensing, but you're not reacting. You're waiting for the moment when all your conditions align, when your mind is calm, and when the probability is in your favor. That's when you act, and that's when mastery shows itself. Every great trader knows that the real challenge is not in reading the market, but in managing your mind. You can't focus if your mind is filled with noise. You can't wait if your emotions are constantly screaming for action. The key is to quiet the inner chatter, to cultivate mental stillness, to make peace with the idea that missing a trade is not a loss. Forcing one is. There's a paradox in trading that few ever understand. The less you need to trade, the more successful you become. The more you focus on quality, the less effort it takes to produce results. Why? Because the market rewards clarity. When you're focused, your energy is precise. You stop leaking attention on meaningless setups. You stop fighting the flow. You conserve energy, and that energy turns into power. Most traders burn out because they confuse activity with productivity. They think that by being constantly in motion, they're progressing. But progress in trading doesn't happen through motion. It happens through mastery of mental motion. It happens when you stop chasing and start aligning. Focus means you've accepted uncertainty. You've accepted that not every moment in the market belongs to you. That acceptance is freedom. It allows you to operate from peace instead of pressure. You no longer need to force outcomes. You allow them to come to you. You begin to trade with patience, precision, and poise, the three pillars of consistency. Here's the truth: most traders avoid. The market doesn't reward effort. It rewards accuracy. You can spend 10 hours watching charts, but if your mind is distracted, those hours mean nothing. On the other hand, 1 hour of deep, focused observation can lead to the trade that defines your entire month. That's the difference between the professional and the amateur. Intensity of focus. Focus also creates emotional resilience. When you're selective, you reduce noise. When you reduce noise, you reduce stress. When stress disappears, clarity takes its place. You start making decisions from a calm, grounded state instead of an anxious, reactive one. That shift changes everything, not just your results, but your relationship with trading itself. It stops being a battle and becomes a dialogue between your mind and the market. There's another layer to this. Focus builds confidence. Every time you say no to a bad setup, you reinforce trust in yourself. Every time you wait patiently and act with precision, you build a deeper sense of self-control. That confidence doesn't come from winning trades. It comes from mastering your behavior. And that's the kind of confidence no loss can destroy. Focus transforms the market from a battlefield into a training ground. Each moment you wait strengthens your mind. Each disciplined action sharpens your perception. Over time, you start to see patterns more clearly, not because the market changed, but because you did. Mastery is not about how much you know, it's about how much noise you've eliminated. The fewer distractions, the clearer the signal. The clearer the signal, the better the execution. That's the essence of focus. So, if you want to evolve from inconsistent to consistent, stop measuring progress by how many trades you take. Measure it by how well you maintain focus under uncertainty. Can you stay patient when others panic? Can you stay calm when others chase? Can you stay still when your emotions demand movement? That's the true test of mastery. Because focus is not just a trading skill, it's a way of being. It's how you approach every challenge, every opportunity, every moment of decision. In trading and in life, the principle is the same. The doing more doesn't make you better. Doing what matters with total focus does. The goal isn't to trade constantly. The goal is to trade consciously. Every time you sit in front of the screen, remind yourself, I don't need to trade often. I need to trade well. That shift in perspective will save you years of frustration. Mastery comes from focus, not frequency. Because focus builds patience, patience builds consistency, and consistency builds freedom. The freedom to act with clarity, to trade without fear, to know that your success doesn't depend on luck, but on your ability to remain still in the middle of chaos. When you reach that level, trading stops being a game of chance and becomes a reflection of your inner mastery. You'll no longer chase the market. The market will align with you. And in that moment, you'll understand what every true professional already knows. The power to win doesn't come from doing more. It comes from being fully present for the few moments that truly matter. There's a defining moment in every trader's journey when the noise fades, the illusions fall apart, and a powerful realization takes hold. Success isn't about how much you do. It's about how well you do it. The amateurs measure progress by numbers, how many trades they take, how much profit they make in a day, how often they're active. But the professionals, they measure success by the quality of their decisions, not the quantity of their actions. They've learned that the real edge doesn't lie in frequency, but in refinement, in the precision of execution, and the maturity of thought. In the beginning, everyone starts with the same impulse, the urge to do more. More trades, more risk, more movement. The mind equates activity with achievement, believing that constant action will somehow produce consistent results. But this illusion is the downfall of 95% of traders. Because in trading, doing more often leads to losing more. The more you act without purpose, the more randomness you introduce. The more randomness you introduce, the less control you have. And without control, there can be no consistency. Professional thinking operates on a completely different wavelength. It's not about chasing opportunities. It's about waiting for the right ones. It's not about filling your day with action. It's about filtering out the noise until only the clearest signals remain. A professional knows that each decision in the market carries weight, energy, and consequence. Every trade either builds discipline or destroys it. Every entry is a statement of your belief in your process, not in luck, not in emotion, but in structure. Amateurs often fall into the trap of quantity because they're addicted to stimulation. They want to feel like they're progressing. They can't sit still when the market moves. They chase every flicker of opportunity because stillness feels uncomfortable. But professionals have learned to find comfort in calm. They understand that trading isn't about excitement, it's about execution. It's not about adrenaline, it's about awareness. Quality means you know exactly what you're doing, why you're doing it, and when to stop. It means your decisions are filtered through logic, not emotion. You're not reacting to the market. You're responding to it with clarity. You have criteria, boundaries, and rules, and you respect them. A professional's restraint is what gives their action power. When they act with precision because they've waited for the perfect alignment of factors that fit their strategy. Quantity trading, on the other hand, is the child of insecurity. It comes from the fear of missing out, the fear of being wrong, the fear of not doing enough. It's driven by scarcity thinking, the belief that if you don't grab every opportunity, you'll lose your chance. But trading doesn't work that way. The market is infinite. There will always be another setup, another day, another opportunity. Professionals understand this deeply. They know they don't have to catch every move. They only need to catch their move. Quality thinking is built on patience and precision. It means you've trained your mind to see the difference between impulse and insight. You've developed the awareness to step back and say, this trade doesn't fit my plan, and walk away without hesitation. That kind of control isn't weakness, it's strength. Every time you choose not to trade when your setup isn't perfect, you strengthen your discipline muscle. And discipline is what separates those who last from those who fade. When you focus on quality, you stop trading for excitement and start trading for mastery. You stop looking for instant gratification and start building long-term consistency. You understand that one well-executed trade can do more for your account and your mindset than 10 reckless ones. Because a quality trade reinforces trust. It reminds you that you can rely on your system, your patience, and your process. Quantity trading, on the other hand, reinforces chaos. Every time you overtrade, you train your brain to seek stimulation, not success. There's something profound about a trader who can do less and achieve more. It's not because they're lucky. It's because they've learned that success in trading is not cumulative. You don't get rewarded for the number of trades you take. You get rewarded for how aligned those trades are with your edge. Professionals internalize this truth at the deepest level. They don't measure success by frequency. They measure it by consistency of process. This kind of thinking requires emotional maturity. It's easy to click buttons and feel productive. It's much harder to sit in front of a moving market and wait, to resist the urge to act when every part of you screams, "Do something!" That's why quality over quantity is not just a trading principle. It's a psychological transformation. It means you've shifted from needing control to embodying control. It means you've outgrown the need for action and stepped into the power of intention. Every professional has experienced the pain of quantity. They've overtraded, overleveraged, and overthought every decision. But pain is a powerful teacher. It reveals the truth that every trade taken outside your plan is not just a financial mistake, it's an emotional regression. Each random trade feeds your ego and weakens your discipline. It takes you further from the mindset that creates consistency. And until you learn that quality decisions are the foundation of professional thinking, you'll keep repeating the same emotional cycles. Hope, fear, frustration, regret. Quality trading doesn't mean perfection. It doesn't mean every trade will win. It means that every trade aligns with your structure, your probabilities, and your emotional stability. You accept that loss is part of the game. But you refuse to let chaos become part of your process. You protect your energy, your focus, and your emotional capital as fiercely as you protect your money. Think about it this way: a professional sniper doesn't fire at every movement in the distance. They wait. They study the environment. They align the shot. Because they know one precise action executed at the right moment changes everything. The trader's world is no different. Your focus, your timing, your patience. That's your weapon. Every random trade is a wasted bullet. Every patient trade is a statement of mastery. When you start valuing quality over quantity, your entire trading experience transforms. The stress fades. The noise quiets. You begin to feel a rhythm with the market. You're no longer in a constant state of reaction. You're in control of your state of mind. You no longer chase opportunities. They come to you. This isn't luck. It's alignment. You've trained your mind to act only when everything fits. The beautiful paradox of trading is that doing less with higher quality produces more consistent results. The fewer decisions you make, the fewer opportunities there are for emotional mistakes. The more selective you become, the more focused your energy is. And focus is what turns average traders into masters. Quality over quantity also applies to how you think, not just how you trade. Professionals think in probabilities, not outcomes. They evaluate the validity of a setup, not the potential profit. They measure themselves by how well they executed their plan, not by how much money they made. This subtle shift is what separates emotional traders from consistent ones. Because once you detach from needing to be right, you free yourself to trade well. Quality thinking is structured, deliberate, and self-aware. It doesn't chase perfection, it chases precision. Every thought, every plan, every trade is filtered through awareness. You know your triggers, your strengths, your weaknesses. You understand that your goal is not to control the market, but to control your behavior. When you think with quality, you stop reacting to randomness and start responding to probability. That's the essence of professionalism. It's also about respect for your craft, for your capital, for your process. Quantity trading disrespects the process because it's driven by impulse. Quality trading honors it because it's driven by purpose. Professionals respect the boundaries they've set, not because they're rules on paper, but because they represent the discipline that built their freedom. And here's the truth that every professional knows: the moment you compromise quality for quantity, you compromise everything. You dilute your edge, you erode your confidence, and you lose your psychological center. Trading then becomes chaos, an emotional storm of chasing and regret. But when you protect quality at all costs, the game slows down. You see patterns clearly. You act decisively. You feel grounded, even in uncertainty. That's the state of mastery. It's not about being right all the time. It's about being aligned with your principles all the time. The professional doesn't win every trade, they win every decision. Because every decision reinforces who they are: disciplined, focused, and emotionally balanced. If you truly want to evolve, stop trying to do more. Start trying to do better. Trade less, but with more purpose. Think less about profits and more about precision. Every quality trade compounds, not just financially, but psychologically. Each one strengthens your belief in yourself, your strategy, and your consistency. Over time, that belief becomes unshakable. You stop needing validation from the market because you've learned to validate yourself through discipline. You stop measuring success by outcome and start measuring it by integrity. And when that shift happens, everything changes, not just your trading, but your life. Because quality over quantity isn't just a trading philosophy. It's a mindset for everything. It's how you approach your goals, your relationships, your growth. It's a declaration that you will no longer chase, but choose. You will no longer scatter your energy, but focus it. You will no longer seek more, you will seek better. And when you live that way, trading becomes effortless. You stop forcing results and start flowing with them. You stop needing the market to give you something because you already possess the mindset that creates everything you need. Quality over quantity defines professional thinking because it represents evolution. The moment you stop being a participant and start becoming a master, you realize that the game was never about speed or frequency. It was about awareness, patience, and precision. The market rewards those who think clearly, act deliberately, and trade selectively. It punishes those who move without intention. Every tick, every candle, every trade is an invitation to choose chaos or clarity, impulse or precision, quantity or quality. And in the end, the professionals always choose quality because they know that a single disciplined decision made with complete focus and emotional control can define an entire career. Every trader starts with a dream. The dream of freedom, of abundance, of a life without limits. The market becomes the gateway to that dream, the arena where fortunes can be made in seconds. You sit down, you open your charts, and you imagine what it would feel like to make that perfect trade, to double your account, to finally win. But that dream, when fueled by attachment to money, becomes the very reason most traders fail. Because the moment you trade for money, you lose sight of the one thing that actually creates it: the process. It's a strange paradox. The more you chase money, the further it runs. The more you fixate on profits, the more emotionally unstable you become. You start forcing trades, ignoring rules, abandoning discipline. The chart stops being a reflection of probabilities and becomes a projection of your hopes and fears. Suddenly, you're no longer trading the market, you're trading your emotions. The professionals understand something that amateurs spend years learning: money is a byproduct, not a goal. It's the natural result of a consistent process executed with clarity and discipline. When you detach from money and attach to process, you shift your entire relationship with trading. You stop needing to win. You stop needing to prove something. You start to flow with the market instead of fighting it. Most traders don't realize that their emotional attachment to money is what destroys their edge. When you're attached to outcomes, every trade becomes personal. A win makes you euphoric, a loss makes you anxious or angry. You're on a constant emotional roller coaster. And that instability bleeds into your decision making. You start hesitating when you should act and forcing trades when you should wait. You react to fear and greed instead of executing your plan. But trading isn't a test of luck. It's a test of mental control. And the one who can stay emotionally neutral, regardless of outcome, is the one who lasts. Detachment doesn't mean indifference, it means balance. It means you care about doing the right thing, not about what the market gives you for it. When you detach from money, you're free to focus entirely on what you can control: your behavior, your preparation, your consistency. The truth is, money will never create consistency. Consistency creates money. The trader who focuses on process doesn't need to chase profits because they know profits are inevitable when execution is correct. They've redefined success. For them, a winning trade isn't the one that makes money. It's the one that was executed flawlessly according to plan, regardless of result. That mindset is what separates professionals from gamblers. Attaching to process means surrendering the illusion of control over outcome. It means understanding that no one, not even the best trader in the world, can control what the market does next. The only thing you can control is how you respond. You can control your setup selection, your risk management, your emotional state. The outcome of any single trade doesn't define you. What defines you is how consistently you follow your system over time. This shift from outcome to process is the essence of mastery. The amateurs obsess over the result because they're trying to fill an emotional void. They want money to validate them, to prove they're good enough, smart enough, capable enough. But professionals know that validation never comes from the market. It comes from within. The market doesn't care who you are. It rewards those who are disciplined, detached, and emotionally stable. When you attach to the process, something profound happens. Fear begins to disappear. You stop fearing loss because loss is just feedback. You stop fearing the market because you no longer depend on it for emotional validation. You stop needing to win because you understand that your worth isn't tied to your results. That detachment creates freedom, and in that freedom, clarity thrives. Every trader faces moments of emotional chaos. When the trade goes against you, when your plan fails, when your confidence wavers. In those moments, attachment to money magnifies the pain. You start making emotional decisions to protect your ego instead of your capital. You cut winners too soon because you fear losing unrealized profits. You hold losers too long because you can't accept being wrong. But when you're process-focused, those emotional swings lose power. A losing trade doesn't shake your confidence because it's just one event within a long-term framework. You evaluate it, learn from it, and move forward. Think about it like this: a craftsman doesn't obsess over the money he'll make from his art. He obsesses over the quality of his work. The process is the reward. The money simply follows excellence. Trading is no different. Every great trader is a craftsman of process. They build their edge, refine it, protect it. They understand that mastery isn't achieved through emotion, but through repetition. Through doing the right thing over and over again until it becomes effortless. Process thinking transforms your internal dialogue. Instead of asking, "How much can I make on this trade?" you begin to ask, "How well can I execute this plan?" Instead of focusing on the end result, you focus on each decision that leads to it. You track your discipline, your patience, your ability to remain neutral. You start to see your trading not as a way to make money, but as a reflection of your inner growth. That's the beauty of process. It teaches you about yourself. It exposes every weakness, every fear, every impulse you try to hide. It reveals whether you can stay calm under pressure, whether you can follow rules when emotion is high, whether you can act with integrity when no one is watching. The process doesn't lie. It shows you exactly where you are mentally. When you become process-driven, you start to experience flow. Trading stops feeling like a battle and starts feeling like a rhythm. You're no longer fighting the market or yourself. You're simply executing. You see opportunities clearly because your mind is quiet. You act without hesitation because your focus is pure. You let go of outcomes because you've already accepted uncertainty as part of the process. The irony is that the more detached you become from money, the easier it is to make it. Because when you're detached, you're stable. You think logically. You act decisively. You're not chasing profits. You're following probabilities. And probabilities, when combined with discipline, always lead to consistent results. Attachment to money, however, creates distortion. It clouds your judgment. It makes you think you can force outcomes, time the market, or predict what's coming next. But trading isn't about prediction. It's about participation, about showing up every day, prepared, patient, and precise. Detachment is what allows you to participate without expectation. To detach from money is to reclaim your power. You stop letting numbers on a screen dictate your mood. You stop giving the market authority over your emotions. Whether you're up or down, your process doesn't change. You still plan your trades, manage your risk, and execute your system. That kind of consistency builds emotional strength, and emotional strength builds financial success. The market constantly tests your attachment. Every spike, every loss, every win is a psychological trap. When you make money, the ego whispers, "You're a genius." When you lose, it whispers, "You're a failure." But neither is true. You are neither your wins nor your losses. You are your process. You are the consistency behind your decisions, the calm behind your execution, the discipline behind your risk management. If you want to see your trading transform, redefine what success means. Stop asking if you made money today. Start asking, did I follow my plan? Did I manage risk properly? Did I stay emotionally neutral? Did I trade according to my edge? If the answer is yes, then you succeeded, regardless of the outcome. Because success in trading isn't about profit, it's about consistency. And consistency is born from process. Detachment doesn't mean lack of ambition. It doesn't mean you don't care about profits. It means you've matured beyond the need to chase them. You understand that your job is to execute, not to earn. The market handles the earning part. Your job is to show up, follow your plan, and protect your capital. That's it. The more you simplify your focus, the more consistent your results become. Every professional trader eventually reaches this realization: money is a distraction. It's the noise that pulls you away from precision. But when you remove that noise, when you trade purely for process, trading becomes peaceful. It becomes predictable in its unpredictability. You stop reacting to every tick because your emotions no longer depend on it. You start trusting your edge because it's the only thing that matters. That's why detachment is the highest form of confidence. It's not that you don't care about outcomes. It's that you trust yourself enough not to need them. You trust your preparation, your system, your ability to adapt. You're no longer trading from fear or greed. You're trading from clarity, and clarity always wins. This mindset extends beyond trading. Detachment from money allows you to live with more peace, purpose, and control. You stop measuring your worth by external results. You stop rushing, comparing, or forcing success. You start to enjoy the process, the learning, the refinement, the discipline. And ironically, that's when the results start flowing effortlessly. So detach from money. It will only amplify your fears and insecurities. Attach to your process, the one thing that never betrays you. Build a system, refine it, and protect it. Treat every trade as a lesson in self-awareness. Let your growth be measured not in dollars, but in discipline. Because in the end, trading mastery isn't about how much you make. It's about how well you execute when the stakes are high. The ones who survive, the ones who thrive, are those who've learned to silence the noise, detach from the outcome, and give their full attention to the process. Money will follow you when you stop chasing it. The market will reward you when you stop demanding it. And consistency will find you when you stop searching for shortcuts. Detach from money, attach to process. Because that's where the freedom you're searching for truly begins. When you detach from money and attach yourself to the process, you transcend the chaos that traps most traders. You no longer trade to chase emotions or outcomes. You trade to express mastery, discipline, and alignment with probability. The market stops being a battlefield and becomes a mirror of your inner world. Success ceases to be about how much you make and becomes about how well you perform. Every good trade, done with calm precision, builds the foundation of financial freedom. Because in the end, consistency doesn't come from chasing profits. It comes from honoring the process that creates them.